And joining us right now is Bob Seeley, who's Conservative MP and a member of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julie.
Good
Good morning
morning
to your listeners.
Lovely to talk to you. Have you been affected by Storm Isha down in the Isle of Wight, where your constituency is?
Yes, our ferries the passenger ferries got cancelled for most of yesterday, the car ferries during the evening, but I think we're back up and running at the moment, yes.
Good, excellent. That is good to hear. So anyway, can I just ask you about what Keir Starmer has been saying this morning in a speech, accusing the Tories of attacking the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, which I'm sure have a big role in your constituency, but also the National Trust. And it's all like the Tories stoking culture wars and actually being against, civil society and taking on charities. And he's sort of trying to say, look, Labour will be the party of civil society defending charities. Is he right, or are a lot of our institutions now too woke?
No, and he sort of slightly reminds me of that old KGB tactic to accuse your opponents of the thing that you're doing yourselves. So I think the left are relentlessly politicising a lot of areas of our life, Julie, that you point out very often that they shouldn't be doing. And then they have got the cheek to turn around and say, when the Tories stand up for this, when Conservatives, either with a big C or a small c, say, well, hold on a sec, our history isn't redeemably awful. We abolished slavery, not championed it. We stood up against fascism and socialism. We defeated the Nazis and the communists in World War II and in the Cold War afterwards. Our history is something that we should be proud of. When we say that, people like Keir Starmer say, "Oh my God, you're indulging in culture wars." Yeah. Let's get our facts right here, Julia. The culture wars have started with an unrelenting attack on our institutions by people who don't believe in biological sex or who hate our history or wish to impose a worldview on us. And then conservatives like you, small c conservatives, or big C conservatives like me, say, hold on a second. And then lefty lawyers like Keir Starmer say, oh, you're attacking these institutions. No. Keir Starmer and the left are trying to undermine these institutions. And what we're speaking up is for the traditional values that are shared by millions of people, including millions of Labour voters up and down the country, against those who don't.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not a Conservative with a small c either. I'm a radical revolutionary. That's what I think this country needs. But there we are. But this is the thing, isn't it? When the RNLI have a big row over alpha male behaviour, I mean, wow, I'm thinking alpha males is exactly what you want when you're going to be rescued at sea. And the National Trust being obsessed with preferred pronouns and LGBT flags and puts out a 2024 calendar. Calendars recognising all the major events of the year that doesn't even mention Christmas. You can say like, oh, but the Conservatives are doing the culture wars. I mean, they are waging war on us in our children's nurseries, in our schools, in our colleges, on the BBC, in every other institution, every charity, in the civil service, in our courts, across the board. And they're saying, you're waging war. I mean, I wish the Conservatives would start waging culture wars.
I would like us to be a little bit more robust in our dealings with these people, because I think it's driven by a hardcore of people who buy into a critical theory view of the world. I think, that most viewers and listeners would know that as political correctness, but there is some sort of entirely bogus pseudo-academic theory behind it, which is completely unscientific, called critical theory. And we need to challenge it much, much more. And we need to recognise that actually biological sex exists. And let's remember that the Labour Party, Keir Starmer's party, voted with the SNP in the Gender Recognition Act in Scotland, whereby you can be a biological male but declare yourself to be a woman and go into women's only spaces. And what we are seeing from the Labour Party and other people, and Labour are desperately trying to hide this fact in the run-up to the election, is that they're not fans of biological sex. And if they had their way, people could self-declare their gender whenever they wanted. And I think that is entirely wrong, and that is their agenda.
Well, the question is whether the culture wars are going to be a big factor in the next general election, and obviously the Conservatives think they will be. For me, it's a defining issue. If someone doesn't know what a woman is, I don't think they're fit for public office. But actually, for a lot of people, it's going to be the cost of living. And we had a lot of talk over the weekend about where government money is spent, whether it's on childcare, whether it's on defence spending, an area that you have a lot of interest in, but also whether there should be tax cuts. And Rishi Sunak and the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt have talked about their wanting to do tax cuts, and we've got the March 6th budget coming up very soon. May well be another sort of spring, as an autumn statement as well before the next election, if it's in the autumn. How much room for manoeuvre is there really for tax cuts at a time when public spending, although at a high, is nevertheless, we've got our public services creaking at the seams. Is it tax cuts that people want, or do they want their public services to function properly?
Julia, we've never spent more on public services. Okay, we're spending 200 billion a year, 199 billion a year on the NHS. The NHS is the third highest funded state healthcare service in the world, and healthcare spending in the UK is about number 6 globally. Sadly, our outcomes aren't anywhere near number 6. So there's lots of work to do to improve the NHS, but money is no longer simply the issue. And likewise in our schools on the Isle of Wight have more money than ever before. Teachers will tell you rightly that inflation has really been hitting their budgets over the last year or two, and I talk to my teachers on the island very regularly, so I'm aware of inflation and inflationary pressures on teachers, but that's why we have the highest spending in schools. And remember, Julia, our schools are a massive success story. So it's not only about money, but it's about values. What have the Conservatives done? We introduced the free schools, fantastically popular. We rolled out academies, have driven up improvements, good or outstanding schools up nearly 20% compared to Labour. And possibly most importantly, the phonics reading system. That means that our kids are the best readers in the Western world and are number 3 behind Singapore and Hong Kong in terms of reading age 9 and 10-year-old. So we're doing a really fantastic job. And it's about principles as well as money. For me, we are too taxed in this society. And if you give more money to people in tax cuts, provided they are affordable, so there is a big question mark there, they have to be affordable, but that will help drive the economy. I also don't understand why we've allowed the civil service to increase by 25% since 2015, Julia.
Yeah, well, indeed.